Welcome to Pixelated episode 85. I'm your host, Will Saddleberg. This week's episode is a little out of left field as Damien, Abner, and I talk through our feelings surrounding the end of Asus's time as an Android brand. We talk all about some of our favorite ex-smartphone makers and wonder just what the future might hold for phones as a whole. That brings us perfectly to a larger conversation about the Clicks Communicator, minimalist phones, digital well-being tools, and what exactly we're looking for in our personal devices today. All that, plus we pour one out for Stadia at the very end of the show. It's all coming up.
I mean, it feels like more and more often, gang, that we are seeing, I guess, OEMs leave the space. We seem to have lost another. We have a man down, a brand down. Asus has effectively confirmed they're no longer going to make Android smartphones. They're going down the AI route. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I feel like maybe Asus weren't all in, I guess, but I don't know. You guys tell me. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
I've always wanted to buy a Zenfone Mini, but I've never gotten around to it in terms of. Yeah, I like the small form factor. It's compact. It's very much what I would have wanted, but I could never just leave the Pixel software experience once I gamed it out of where I would use it in my life, etc.
Yeah, it's one of those. So I don't even know where to start with Asus because to me it's like it's missed. The entire story is just missed potential. Do you know what I mean? Like every step of the way, I feel like they made the wrong call in a way that they could have found success, if not in North America, then certainly abroad. And instead of kind of trusting their own instincts in making products that stood out among the crowd, they sort of ended their smartphone run by just chasing trends and trying to match competitors. And I mean, I just don't think that's ever going to be a winning solution. You know, OnePlus is in kind of a similar boat, I think, where like the 13 felt very much like a modern OnePlus flagship. Like this is what people have come to expect from the brand. And then you see the 15 and you're like, this is an Android phone. Like this is like a kind of gaming influence, but sort of not really gaming phone. That is okay, but doesn't stand out amongst the crowd. And you can look at Asus and see like exactly how that happened, how they had interesting ideas, whether it was their ROG line that I think brought a lot to the table in terms of old school Android enthusiast features, or the Zenfone series that focus so much on being compact and portable and decided to kind of throw that away at the end.
I just want to zoom out for a second, just more broadly. The smartphone is not going away. It is the form factor that will honestly be the last form factor that we all have. As much as I'm into glasses or whatnot, I think the smartphone will be at the center of your digital life for the foreseeable future. Google's first Android XR glasses will talk to your phone and use it as processing. And after that, I don't know, maybe 5+ years, the display technology gets really, really good, where you can basically have the Minority Report style stuff. But I still think that at the end of the day, the smartphone will always be the device, the form factor that you're going to have for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. I
think you're definitely correct there, Abner. I think it's one of those things with Asus in general. Asus or Asus, I still don't know to this day. Please somebody contact me and tell me which is the right way to pronounce it.
Just alternate back and forth.
Yeah, we'll cover all bases. I feel like with the Zenfone, I know that it's the Zenfone 10. I remember looking at that device. I think it was about 2 years ago. That kind of ended the Zenfone line that we know, right, as this slightly smaller, compact option to the other top tier phones from other brands out there. And I think it stood alone as its own little thing, and it had flashy design. It had a really impressive internals. I guess it was the 9 Pro and the 10 Pro, the medium phone of its time, I guess. And obviously over the past couple of years, in a lot of respects, Pixel 9 Pro and Pixel 10 Pro have kind of fallen into that gap. Maybe they don't have the performance that we would hope, but that's by the by. I do wonder how Asus kind of handled, we're going to shelve this kind of this line that we've had for a long period of time and go straight into, we're only doing gaming focused devices. And I guess Asus and the ROG lineup is synonymous with PC gaming. I wonder if they're, and I always thought this to begin with anyways, maybe they really didn't care enough, if that makes sense. They just wanted a device that went with the rest of their, in air quotes, gaming ecosystem. And having a product that looked like their laptops but performed to the top level of Android wasn't enough to sway people away from their experiences elsewhere. I think I last used the ROG Phone 8 Pro. Again, I'm probably getting that name horrendously wrong. But it stood out for good reasons, I guess, but not reasons that I would enjoy. Like it had a cool LED backplate.
Yeah.
It had 2 USB-C ports, which I think is fantastic, side mounted and bottom mounted, which I think is amazing. I really like that. But at the end of the day, it didn't feel like there was enough. I don't want to say ambition because that's not right at all. Enough, I guess, execution everywhere, because the software felt like it was a hybrid of AOSP and what was going on elsewhere. But at the same time, it's sad to see. I'm not saying for any second for a moment that we should see players leave the space, but I don't think this one hurts as much as some others. I'm more upset by the Zenfone line disappearing, even though I only use one. I use one Zenfone. I used Zenfone 10 briefly, I think, at maybe it can't have been CES. It must have been MWC or something like that. And I was like, wow, this phone does stand out. I could potentially see myself using this. But with an ROG phone, it was like, I could potentially get a better display somewhere else. The performance is, it's good, but like, do I need wacky flashing lights? I can get that with a nothing phone and they stand out for their own reasons. Yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame. Maybe they fell into this middle ground where it was like apathy. And having a phone, if there's apathy around your product, then maybe it is time to let go, and maybe they've made the right decision. I don't know. Do we don't like seeing Android players leave the space?
No.
Can we think of any that we've actually been excited to see disappear? I'm not sure. I can't say one off the top of my head.
No, definitely not. And I mean, there are degrees of heartbreak. I think LG and HTC, or like former HTC, kind of rank near the top, right? I don't know if I would put Asus or Asus as high up. I actually have a big picture question for you guys, because I think this is related, because we saw Asus drop the Zenfone series, or like at the very least kind of eliminate the thing that differentiated it from its competition in terms of being sub 6-inch displays up through the Zenfone 10, still with flagship specs. They pivoted hard into focusing just on gaming for the last couple of years, and then obviously are throwing in the towel. Is it time to call like the concept of like the dedicated gaming phone, like gaming specific phone, kind of a failure or a failed trend maybe? Because it's been about a decade, and I don't really see a reason to buy one. I've never really seen a reason to buy one outside of and Asus did it the best in terms of the added features, like those dual USB ports you were talking about, Damien. But like, why? I don't think any of them have ever done a good enough job differentiating themselves from just like a standard Samsung Galaxy S20 whatever Ultra in terms of like performance and specs. Maybe larger batteries, maybe bigger screens, but typically it's you're getting 95, 98% of the same base experience from something like a Samsung or even a OnePlus device. And then counter that with the rise of dedicated handhelds that are cheaper with built-in controls that don't require you to like sacrifice your phone in order to be able to play a game. You can still get a text message and answer a text message while playing on any AYN device, right? Like I just kind of can't escape this feeling that like gaming phones in general have never been really successful, and we're kind of at the end of the rope on these.
But I mean, I agree with you 100% on the handheld thing. I think the handheld thing is etting to this market so much that it's almost like it's almost impossible to recommend most people go and pick up a gaming phone over a dedicated handheld, because save maybe 1 or 2 games realistically on a phone of this type, you're going to be emulating older handheld games anyway, or like old console games, and for the most part they run on anything Snapdragon 870, something like that. Like almost flawlessly. I mean, this probably gets at, like you say, is a wider question in that if Razer couldn't make this work, then why did Asus think that they could do it? Like Razer are like the highest of high-end gaming. And
they only did what, two or 3 phones after they bought Nextbit? Yeah, I think it was only 2.
I mean, I do wonder if this is that obviously they've said from this report that they're going to move into focus shift towards AI. I do wonder if this means that they could do what Razer have done and have like the Kishi, the handheld controllers, because I don't think that's a bad market to take up. If you're going to be, you want to be gaming and adjacent, you want to stay in the mobile space, the accessory market is huge. Like people like them. I personally have about 4 or 5, so I'm potentially the buyer for someone who can do this. But it's almost, it almost feels like you say that gaming phones have been they've been a thing, but they've also not been a thing.
It's just fundamentally smartphones. I don't think specialization did anything. Like besides gaming, what other sub-variant of smartphone is there?
Like, I mean, we've tried. We tried cameras. We've tried gaming.
I would say foldables are a subcategory. They're different enough.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. But I just don't think that. To the point about the chipset, every smartphone chip is optimized for gaming, and I don't think there's anything special that you need hardware-wise. Like on one end, it worked in laptops because there is still a raw specs benefit from it, but from every other perspective, the smartphone is just too perfect of a utility. It's a jack of all trades already, and I don't think accessories are the better way to optimize it. But so we were talking about HTC going away, LG going away, and now Asus. So it's going to be Samsung, it's going to be Google, Pixel. What is the modern landscape right now? And do we think between Samsung, Google, and whoever else, are we missing something?
It's tough, isn't it? Well, I think we both have that same pained expression where it's like this is the worst kind of scenario to be in terms of like consumer choice, because I mean, I know you guys live in the US where it's a bit of a duopoly anyway. Yeah. It's kind of sad. It's sad being in the rest of the world, because what tends to happen is I feel like here in Europe, it's like we get a little bit of what's kind of often popping in China, and we get these cool, wacky devices. And I do want to see these wacky devices. At the same time, consumer confidence in them is clearly low, because if Asus says we're not going to do it, I'd argue there's probably a bottom line that's been seen, and they're like, okay, this financially doesn't make sense anymore. Right. But as for the brands, who would we consider the big players now? So I probably wouldn't, as disrespectful as this sounds, I don't necessarily think I would put Google in that in a global scale, even though we've seen big gains. I think Oppo, Xiaomi, they're definites. Samsung, obviously Apple. Yeah. Beyond those, everyone is a smaller player. Like Nothing and Google seem like those young upstarts that maybe could potentially and are starting to really be an alternative. But I don't know.
I will give. I want to give Google this, I guess, is that they have the mind share. I think like not just Google, but like Pixel. People know Pixel. Like if you stopped random people on the street, you would get, it would be not 0 people who know Pixel. And I don't feel as confident saying that about Nothing. Like I think if you stopped 10 people on the street, at least one would know Pixel, and I don't know if they would know Nothing, at least in the US. From a US perspective, it really is just Apple and Samsung, and then
maybe Motorola,
and then Motorola and Google, depending on the customer, right? Like Motorola is really only budget here. Like they have some Razer success, but they've stopped doing other flagships here. And anytime I'm reviewing a Motorola phone, the thing that is said to me the most often is I didn't know Motorola still made phones. So not great. I genuinely, I've had like 5 or 6 people over the last couple of years say that to me. And then I would say Google is like, people are like Pixel curious, but not enough to like maybe switch. But I do get the idea that like a lot of iPhone people are, to Google's credit, are kind of like, if I were to switch, I would probably check out that Pixel over there. I like those ads that I see during insert sport here. It's all over every sport. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of dire in the US. At the same time, we've kind of hit bottom on this. Like I don't expect Motorola to fully pull out of the US just because they have a niche here. They do sell a lot of budget devices. Samsung obviously is like rock solid. Apple is here, but like you can definitely feel a little bit of the luster off Apple. I think people are kind of bored with them, and I don't know. Like I'm curious to see the next like 10 years of the iPhone where that goes, because it feels very similar to the Android perspective in terms of just kind of like, we changed a few things this year, here you go, instead of like trying to wow people. And even this year, their big thing is going to be a foldable that they're 7 years late to. And unlike in previous product launches, I don't expect the Apple foldable to like completely trounce the competitors.
Right,
I assume it's going to be similar to a Fold 7. So, yeah.
It is a sad state of affairs to lose a player in the space.
It
so
sucks.
I'm pouring one out for Asus right now.
Even if just for competition's sake, right? Or for new ideas, right? Like Abner, you're talking
100%.
about like the smartphone being the core of your tech experience for the foreseeable future. And it's not even just, it's like specifically like a tall rectangle is the core of your like tech experience for the foreseeable future. Like they're all the same. It's not even so much the phone itself, but like it doesn't even really matter if you buy a Pixel or a Galaxy S26 because it's 95% the same when you really look at it,
Yeah.
So,
just to
RIP
pontificate about
to
the
Asus.
future, after Damien does his funeral
Monologue.
So so smart glasses, which Asus suggested they're going into. I don't know. Just to like see the timeline out, we see smart glasses this year with displays in them from Google. Year after that, maybe we see glasses with one display on each side. I think that within the 5th generation of these devices, they start getting good. And maybe at around that point, we can see them starting to replace the smartphone in terms of, I still think you keep it in your pocket because at the end of the day, I don't think you want like a 5G radio next to your brain or whatever. I don't think we're going down this. I don't know, maybe you pair it with a smartwatch or maybe that becomes a thing. But I just think that the form factor, the tactility of holding a smartphone, I think that's going to stay around for a while.
Yeah.
But in terms of what comes after, it's going to be a chip in your brain.
I was about to joke. You're right, Abner. The 5G chip is not going to be right next to my brain. It's going to be in it.
It's going to be in it. I'll let you guys queue up for that one and get.
No,
I'm not.
No chance.
No, I have no.
Absolutely not.
Brain compute interface. It's like the thing like anything that's announced after your 20 is the futuristic. And anything announced before you're 20 is like the norm. You accept it or whatever.
I'm 30. Damn it. I'm there.
No, but I don't. Yeah, I do not see myself getting a chip in my brain ever. Famous last words, maybe.
I know this sounds so simple, but like it's just the smartphone is not going to go away until something comes along that is as easy and intuitive to control as the smartphone. And like, we have not seen that yet, right? Like smart glasses are not as easy to control as just like tapping a thing on a smartphone. Like that is, there was a reason that the iPhone blew up the way it was, and everything was shaped after that, like up to and including the first like
Touch.
Android devices.
Touch is such.
Yeah.
It's so tactile. It's so obvious.
Exactly.
You point
A
to things in the
3-year-old
real world.
immediately understands when they pick up an iPad or any tablet, to the point where, there's all those videos of not so much these days, but certainly throughout the 2010s, of children tapping at magazines or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just immediately understood.
And with the smart glasses, I think that's what's going to be so interesting. What is the control method for them? Is it going to be a touchpad on the side that you do gestures? Is it going to be voice commands? And now that what the voice commands made possible by AI, by LLMs, understanding exactly what you want. Maybe it's that. Meta is doing some they have a EKG something wristband where you think about what you want to touch or something like that. These are the future interaction questions of the future. And I don't know, maybe it's like a touchpad on your watch. I don't think it's going to be that, but that is going to be an interesting question. But to your point, Will, about what's more obvious than touch, it's going to be thinking it with your brain.
It's the only, I was listening to you like narrow, and I was like, I don't think any of these are actually easier though. I think they could, but it's either going to be, genuinely my thought was it's either going to be, it just reads your mind, right? Like, which is a technology that obviously either doesn't exist or like maybe barely exists. Like, I haven't looked into it, but like, so I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but, or it's going to be, something that hasn't been invented yet or hasn't even been thought of yet, that comes out of nowhere, right? In the same way that like no one had done an iPhone like device really with a capacitive touchscreen. And I mean, like, I was young, but even I remember all of the like, well, how are you going to type on it without a keyboard, like conversations around that first iPhone. And I think whatever replaces the smartphone inevitably or eventually will have similar conversations of like, well, how are you going to do this? And then people will try it and just be like, oh, actually, it's like, it just works. Like that's what it needs. It needs whatever will replace the smartphone will need it just works moment.
The other thing I'm wondering is whether like floating touch gestures in the air, whether it's because you're wearing a ring or it's tracked from your smartwatch or camera, it's hand tracking. But I don't think like that's equivalent to touch in any way.
No, I agree. Unless it was 1-to-1, and again, it's just technology that isn't there yet, right? It has to be. I'm cold on voice commands. I think I just can't imagine a world where people replace. It's too much. I know it's handy sometimes, but the idea of like, I have fully sacrificed a touchscreen in order to only talk to my devices. I can't imagine that world. Like I certainly wouldn't be happy doing that because I always feel awkward doing voice commands, even alone.
Yeah. So until I would not be surprised if Asus come back into the market when we do have that final form factor. If they're in the AI game, then there's definitely going to be some vested interest there. But as one brand leaves the space, we have a potential new player coming later this year. It was a few weeks ago with the Clicks, the team behind the add-on keyboard for your phone, for your iPhone, even for Pixel, a few other devices. It appears that we're going to be getting our own throwback, as it were. We've been talking about the future, but throwback design, BlackBerry-inspired Android phone. We know that BlackBerry came into the space briefly, but this feels like the team behind this does include Michael Fisher, so we see this as kind of a love letter to that middle era of smartphones, I guess, the true steps into the space we have now, the glass and metal sandwich, the slab. I feel like there's a very big group of people who are interested in this. I don't know how much of that is based on nostalgia. I don't know how much of that is based upon the fact that we want something new, and but then again, old is new again. Will, you have been lucky enough to see, it was a non-working prototype, right? Just
correct.
Tell me a little bit about this, because I'm
unit.
endlessly fascinated. I never had a BlackBerry. I barely used one. I can't say I was hugely into the key thing, but I still endlessly fascinated by new form factors, or old form factors, as it were.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat as you, Damien, just because of my age. When I by the time I came of smartphone. Well, no, I mean, I think we're all kind of right there a little bit to a certain extent, but like by the time I came of age, Palm Pre. But like my first smartphone was the HTC Thunderbolt, which was like the spinoff of the Evo 4G, but for Verizon. So like I just bypassed the BlackBerry era altogether, aside from like the fact that my mom had some for work.
Am I seriously the only one that used the pre-tree for like a year?
Yeah, I never used
first
a pre.
smartphone.
I never had a pre. I loved the pre. I remember like I remember reading like pre-release coverage of the pre as a kid. But oh man, did it come to Verizon? I don't even remember if it came to Verizon.
It
did. Okay. Because obviously it was a Sprint. It launched infamously on Sprint.
I legitimately used the Veer and the pre-tree.
Oh my God. I forgot about the Veer. Wow. That is a name I haven't heard in a minute, Abner. That crazy.
Was such an it was such a nice phone to run with, the Veer, even though you had to use that stupid magnetic audio jack. But I did that. And the keyboard, I do remember writing some long form on the keyboard. I used it. I don't feel any affinity to go back to it. No, that's what I'll say.
Do you, Abner? Do you remember the size of the touchscreen on the Veer? 2.6 inches.
Jeez.
Can you imagine using that today?
No, absolutely not.
It's like a postage stamp compared to the Pixel that's in your pocket right now. So for me, I'm very much interested in the communicator. It's not even really coming from a nostalgia perspective as much as it is coming from a perspective of like, this is a fresh but throwback device. And I think there's a lot of, we are in an era of 2000s nostalgia, and I am certainly not immune to that, as once again, as established earlier, a 30-year-old. There's something fun about the device when you hold it that I wouldn't say applies to a ton of smartphones today, right? Like, it's got this like wedge shape that feels pretty good in your hand and isn't familiar to like other products today. It's got these removable like magnetic backs, so you can just like if you have a red Clicks Communicator and you want it to be blue, you can swap on the blue plate, right? Like, that's fun. And then it's got these like little elements that I think were just well thought out. Like, they're using Niagara Launcher they're working with Niagara Launcher on a specific version of Niagara for this device, and I think that's like perfect for this form factor. Like, I think Niagara will actually fit really well and feel right at home on this like with this keyboard. So like, and I just love the idea of this, not so much as my primary device, which it can be, but more as a like secondary smartphone that I can use, in the evening when I don't maybe necessarily want to keep using the thing I've been using for work all day. And I don't want to feel pressured to go on Twitter or Instagram or any amount of like time wasting applications that are just basically built to frustrate you at this point. You could essentially keep the phone clean.
Do secondary device. Okay, what are people's relationships with secondary devices? Okay, some people have a personal phone and have a work phone, so they know how to use.
Yeah,
I think people can conceptualize how to use two devices, but I would say most people don't.
They don't.
They just have one phone.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of managing a second phone is a non-starter for most people, because
yes, it is.
There is some novelty initially when you get it, but at the end of the day, you'll be like, I don't want to think about what's on what. I just want to use the one phone that I know everything's there, and you'll just naturally gravitate towards that.
Yeah, look, I'm not trying to pretend I'm a normal person for being interested in this. Like, it is a device kind of built for sickos.
Your words.
Yeah, I know. They're gonna one of these days they're gonna come back to haunt me. But no, I don't like. To me, like, what I'm looking for is a way to disconnect a little bit more, and the idea of having this thing that is really just built for communication is enticing. Obviously, you can use smartwatch. There are so many ways on Android to build a minimalist mode, right? Like, I've literally written these guides before that you can like pretty easily set up.
Pixel
things like
literally has one, and I don't think anybody uses it.
Yeah, exactly. this is an unnecessary purchase, but I think it's one that, like, number one, I do think that when you put money down on something, it like pushes you a little bit more to use it. Like, not always, but like, you know, if compared to using like free software methods on your current phone, there is something to being like, well, I'm putting down the whatever it is, $500 for this product. I'm going to get use out of it. I'm going to use it the way I want to use it. And then number two, I really think it's just like a fun, like, there is nothing else like this, right? Like on the market right now, really. So like if you're interested in even just kind of like fun gadgets, I think it can be like, I think it's a well thought out product, even if it's a niche audience.
Do we all remember that like social media device that was just for Twitter, Facebook, Peak? I think it was called Peak, and it had that jog wheel. It looked like a BlackBerry. It was just for like tweeting, basically. That's what
just like throwing things at my brain to be like, you haven't thought about this in 15 years, but do you remember it now? The Veer, the like, oh man, this is a nostalgia trip. I completely forgot about this.
So obviously you mentioned secondary device. I know that the in the marketing spiel for this, it was a case of you can use it as your tertiary device, your primary device, not as a tertiary or secondary device, because it will potentially have 5G support, 4 and 5G support. Do you think there's enough of an interest of people wanting it as a secondary device? Because I kind of look at this and I think there are other devices out there, and I don't doubt that this probably will be of better quality, I guess, than some of the other ones, like the Unihertz Titan lineup. I think tries to do the same thing, but they don't necessarily do the support very well. They don't necessarily do the purchase channels great. They tend to launch through Kickstarter. This is more of I guess they have a potentially a product that will come to market later in the year. Like, I'm intrigued to think, why a secondary device? Why do you think this is going to work as a secondary device for people? Is it for our generation who just want that nostalgia trip, or is it for people who, like I say, want something different? Because I'm looking at it from a wanting something different perspective, and like I say, it's old is new again. We've kind of come full circle on the smartphone ecosystem, that people want like lesser but capable handsets. If that makes sense.
I don't mean for this to sound like a non-answer, but I wonder if this is a case of, and I'm not trying to like read into the minds of like Michael Fisher or anybody else on the Clicks team, but like, is this a case of something more like what we've seen from like the new Pebble team, in terms of they have built a product that they would want to use and they hope there's a market for it and they hope that it's a success, but that they have started in this place of like, well, we want this. Hopefully other people want it and we'll see where it goes. I think that's the approach they've taken. That was the approach that I felt like they took when I was getting the briefing at CES, because it is well thought out for what it is, but I agree with you. It's not going to appeal to everybody. Not 100% of smartphone users, or even a majority of smartphone users, are going to find an ease of use or a utility out of a second device like this. So I don't mean to not answer your question, Damien, but like, I wonder if this is almost like a proof, like, let's just see if there is a demand for this. And if there's not, then there won't be a Clicks Communicator too.
Again, I just think that people there's novelty initially, but eventually you just go back to your one device because people already have a lot of stuff to manage.
That's true.
Yeah. I think that's my only worry of this product, is that how does it land long term? Do people want a second phone? Do they want they want a follow up to it? I mean, it kind of helps that I do think the team at Clicks have been in this. There's a lot of people who've been in and around this space, and I'm sure that Michael Fisher himself, who's been involved with the process and he's involved with the company, he knows better than anyone how these things play out. And so I do wonder that they have the add-on MagSafe keyboard.
Yeah,
I think that probably softens the blow a little bit. And that is a product that I am genuinely interested in. And I'm contemplating putting in a pre-order for to test that out for myself. Just from an intrigue perspective, I think that kind of makes a lot more sense. And I think for most people, that probably hits that middle ground. They get the keyboard, they get the experience, and they don't have to give up their features on their phone rather than switching for a feature phone, as it were. But Yeah, it's just nice to see another player hit the space, regardless of whether, and I wish them all the best.
If you guys will allow me to get heady for just like 60 seconds, is it possible that the race that we've seen throughout basically this entire decade, right? Like whenever, I guess, like the first light phone was announced.
Yeah.
This race towards, and of course all the digital well-being tools, this race towards minimalist phones or secondary phones or like basic devices that don't have only have the essentials on it, right? Is it possible that everybody, or like there is just this mass feeling of like discontent and a dissatisfaction with not so much like current Android or current iOS, but more like the apps on your phone all feel like they are like clawing your attention at all times, right? Like they are just like throwing a million notifications at you, and if you thought the algorithms on social media were bad in the 2010s, like wait till you see it now. And all of this noise, right, is that like nobody's happy, so everybody's just like, I think I want something different than this, but nobody can commit to it because it is incredibly difficult to function in modern society without a fully equipped smartphone, right? Like, I mean, how many of these like light phone-esque products have we seen launch? And it's like, yeah, it's okay, but like you have to like use a laptop to call an Uber. You know what I mean? Like it's just frustrating.
Yeah.
The second you said light phone, you just unlocked something in me. Okay, so let's get started.
It's Abner and I trading back and forth.
I wasn't thinking of the Clicks Communicator as a light phone thing until we just mentioned it, but now that you do, kind of annoys me. Fundamentally, people like their phones. This is to relitigate.
They hate their apps, though. I think that's what it is. They like their phones. They don't like the apps.
Yeah.
To relitigate, the digital well-being thing was such a big thing, like 2016, 2017, whatever. And then there's nothing about it now. It's over. All the features are still there, obviously, but they have not. After that initial wave from both Google and Apple,
yes,
they haven't been updated in ages.
No, they've not been improved.
The case of digital well-being is literally that has not changed since that initial push. And I remember
it's still in beta.
No, well, yeah, that beta badge is also annoying, but that's neither here nor there. But okay, what you were saying about apps, people don't like the apps; they like their phone. I think people dislike some apps, but I don't think people have hard feelings about, let's say, their messaging app or iMessage or the phone app or the camera app. It's the idea of a light phone. It's a naive. We're not going back. His technology does not go back, and I guess that's my overarching premise, that we do not go back in terms of the progress and advancement. So, yeah, somebody else say something.
Well,
I think it is like, and I feel like I'm perfectly placed to give you an insight into this, because I turned 38 not that long ago. So I am an elder statesman, and I feel like in the last 4 to 5 years, I have clung to nostalgia like a time I never would have done previously.
Yeah.
Abner knows of my recent, and it's not recent, it's been a lifelong obsession with Pokemon, but I started getting into the cards not that long ago to kind of clamour for an era that has long been lost in a lot of ways. Now I have the financial muscle to purchase the things I couldn't afford as a kid.
100%.
I do feel like this will hit at a certain generation of people more so than any other, and I feel like it probably falls into I think a tiny bit before my time. I think my generation, there were quite a few people who used BlackBerry, and then there were a few people younger. I think I went straight to smartphones. I went from a slider Samsung phone, I can't remember what it was, like a T200, something along those lines, straight to I think it might have been the original iPhone, and then went to smartphone. That was it. My transition was, there was no middle ground, there was no BlackBerry in between. Whereas I know a lot of people did that. They made that half step, and especially people slightly younger who maybe didn't have a dumb phone, went straight to a BlackBerry, and the BBM era. I feel like a lot is riding on that, and that's fine. I think if you can make yourself the king of that niche, there is probably a lot of money to be made in that space. And like you said, Abner, it does feel like a bit like a light phone, but I guess it's in its own little category where you're not giving up too much. Effectively, you're not giving up anything because it's Android.
Yeah.
Or you're gaining a smaller screen, you're gaining potentially. I mean, I personally think that the lack of one camera lens is probably a good thing. Inhibiting the illusion of choice means sometimes you make the wrong decision. And so I think maybe by stripping back to its rawest elements, it benefits this product.
No, but wouldn't you be so pissed if that was the only thing you had with you and you need to take a picture and the moment ended up being shit? Yeah.
Abner's just airing out his grievances from his iPhone Air.
I love my iPhone Air.
I think, yes. I think when I was away in Japan recently, I think I was very annoyed at the fact that in some ways, if I'd have just taken my normal camera, I quite like the fact that with my Pixel I could zoom in, and yes, it doesn't look quite as good, let's be completely honest, as a full frame camera. But at the same time, I had the benefit of all of my lenses in one pocket.
Yeah.
If I'd have just used a dual lens, ultra wide and wide, I'd have been pissed off.
Yeah.
But yeah, having all three, it feels like an essential now. You know me for a long time, Abner. You know that I have been, since Pixel added the telephoto, I have fervently defended the telephoto lens, and to not have that on a phone is a killer for me. I can't do it. I can never own a phone that doesn't have a telephoto lens. So that, yes, side device, I kind of don't see it. I think personally, I'd rather go to the light phone. I'd rather just get rid of everything. I don't want a halfway house. I need to go cold turkey, and this isn't the cold turkey phone. Let's hope it isn't a turkey when it launches. I'm very excited to see when that will be. We don't have a time frame, but there's a lot of good design decisions, and I like seeing good design, and this is good design from what I can see.
The nostalgia point that you brought up, that I will give you that. People do like nostalgia, but I don't think that's powerful enough to overpower the convenience.
Not for most people. Most people don't want to carry two devices. I mean, this is why everything got consolidated into the smartphone. I mean, look, Damien, I'm right there with you on the nostalgia play. Like this is not a joke. In my bookmarks bar, for like the last 8 months, there's been a modded iPod Classic store just sitting there, just waiting for me to pull the trigger on a $400 iPod Classic that I do not need.
Don't need.
But that play is smart, and God, you guys can't. I have not been able to stop thinking about how you're right. The digital well-being tools haven't been touched in a decade, and to a certain extent, now that it's been pointed out to me, and they've always been so not only easy to bypass, but also annoying to set up. They're annoying to set up.
Yeah, they are really.
They're really easy to bypass. Basically, no matter what you do with the setup process, anyway. And it almost feels like both Apple and Google were like, look, we've done the bare minimum to give people tools to curb their own experience, but also we make money when they don't do that. So actually we don't care if you use them or not. They're there if you want them, but they suck and they're old. The idea that Google has not brought any amount of Gemini, even just the ability to prompt it rather than having to use those awful menu navigations to use on digital well-being. It's so obvious to me now that it's been pointed out of they don't want you to do that because it's better for you to sit on Instagram or whatever all night and see ads, right? It's better for all of these companies.
No, the answer was not digital. Okay. 'Twas a fad. Let's get that over with everybody clamoring for it at the time, or
yes,
the powers that be clamoring for it at the time. But I don't think if you want to use the rest of your phone, I know this seems harsh, but you have to be the one that wants to do that.
Yeah.
The digital tools are so easily bypassed that they're not a real obstacle. You have to make the effort to not use it if you don't want to use it. But to just I don't know, the consolidation of devices and the stuff about the light phone. It's I did like the E-ink concept, but I think they went away from that or whatever. It's okay, you can make calls with a flip phone that won't drive you crazy, but T9 typing is insane. Nobody will do T9 typing. So maybe if having a physical QWERTY is something that you'll be happy with. But I would say that most people are touch typists now.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did the keyboard feel, Will? Just one before we ran a wrap.
Totally fine. It's difficult to tell when you can't see what you're typing. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I made typos by trying to type like a quick sentence, you know, like hello, my name is Will or whatever I usually type as a test. You know, so it's one of those things that I'll have to wait until I can get my hands on like a real test unit at some point. But
that said, I should caveat by saying that I'm the sicko that wants like an all touchscreen keyboard on my laptop.
Okay, see, this is just a podcast for sickos. The three of us, we're all in the same boat. You guys can.
I don't think we can accept that. That's horrendous. But
no,
that's
less. It will break less. It will be an infinite canvas. Maybe you could draw on it.
It's
with plus haptic feedback. It could be good.
This sounds bad to me, Abner, but I, as a mechanical keyboard fan, but I will admit that I have been giving you shit for months on your I don't like physical mice, I prefer a touchpad take. And then I went to CES and it was my first time using a MacBook Air on a work trip. And I basically stopped using my mouse after day 2 because I mostly use Windows and I did not realize how bad mouse support is on Mac.
Solid state.
So I'll hold off.
I'm just curious to see where it lands. I'm sure there has been a lot of positive response to this, which is always good. I think it helps that the face of this product is someone who's very well liked in the industry and very well liked by Android fans as well. So we wish the Clicks team all the best. We'll hopefully see some more in the future. We'll learn some more about
wins.
Yes, and I believe sometime later this year. But so from one hardware loss to a hardware gain, there is one last thing I want to talk about to you guys. This is dear to my heart. I'm sorry for bringing this up for Stadia fans out there.
Yeah.
But as of this week, that is it. Google has just eradicated the very last remnant of Stadia. If you have a Stadia control pad of any format, of any form factor, well, I think there's only one form factor. That's a stupid thing to say. Probably one of the best controllers in terms of ergonomics, maybe not repairability. That's it. The tool that can convert your controller into a Bluetooth gamepad is now no longer available through Google Direct.
I have like 2 Stadia boxes that are still shrink wrapped for whatever reason.
Mine is not shrink wrapped, but I have it. It's like a shelf like 5 feet away from me. It's still fully in the box. Just I have opened it.
The colors are.
I don't think these are going to be collector's items, right? They're not collector's items.
No, nobody's going to ever want to buy these.
Yeah, get these open and get those set up, guys. Luckily for you, anyone who missed out, the page that was, I think it was Stadia, google.stadia.com or maybe stadia.google.com/controller support or control or something like that. I'm sorry, Will, if I've ruined that for you. We'll put it in the show notes.
You're good.
It was supposed to finish in December, just gone, December 31st, 2025. It had a little bit of a accessibility period just after the new year, but that's it now. As of January the 20th, this page 404s. So yeah, if you have a Stadia controller and you haven't done the Bluetooth update, that's it. But luckily, there is a third-party tool out there to support this with. So yeah, you can kind of still do it through GitHub for any unconverted controllers out there. So that's a good thing. But yeah, it's a sad state of affairs when I think one of Google's probably, it's weird. It was one of their best products that they didn't back correctly. They didn't launch it correctly. They didn't back it correctly. It was such. I'm sad now. As of nostalgia, it's crazy to think how good Stadia and ahead of its time it was, and they just kind of flunked the landing, I guess.
They should have kept this tool alive. That's my only take on this.
I don't know. Maybe they should have YouTube do it. The people who actually know media that they did Stadia. I don't know. It's there's definitely an opportunity to remiss one day about Stadia and where it went wrong. But
yeah.
Now you're making me sad.
It's just too early.
I'm sorry to somber episode. Yeah, it's a little bit too early. 2 years after the service.
I more mean Stadia than anything because imagine if Stadia was still kicking and then all of a sudden it was like we're looking down the barrel of like $800 consoles and impossible to build PC components, and it's like, look, I'm not saying it would be a success, but it would at least be an option.
Bring it back. Could they ever bring it back?
I want to say yeah. In my heart, I want to say yeah. In my head, I'm saying that they can't. It will be a disaster. I think the biggest problem with Stadia for me was the fact that they had this opportunity over COVID and kind of everyone was locked at home.
Yeah.
and they fumbled that opportunity, and that was the way to get people involved. But at the same time, as you say, Will, I think they were so ahead of the time in terms of the product they had available to them that people's internet connections still technically haven't caught up. No. I'm lucky. I've always had a gigabit where I lived here in the UK and in north of England. But if you have a gigabit internet connection and a server nearby, you were flying. This was second. It was second to none. It was almost like having a PC in the same room as you.
Okay.
Okay,
not to just drag this out. It's because like all the thing that's happening with the Google has something called Genie, where instead of VO, where you make a video, you generate a video. You can generate a video and then you can play inside it. It becomes a game, a basic thing you can explore. That was one of the original ideas of like programmatic gaming in Gemini, where you like the early, I forgot what their first party studio was, but they were really looking into that kind of stuff, and now it's happening, and it requires so much less work to do so. So I don't think. Okay, I don't know. YouTube, they are doing what are the YouTube games called? The playables.
Playables. I was going to call them play stacks for some reason, but that's game stacks or something on.
They are doing simple like Candy Crush level. Well, it's more than simple. It's Candy Crush dynamic level games, and they're having YouTube creators make them, which I find really interesting. The idea that that's the audience, the early access audience they're giving it to, YouTube creators, and then using their brand awareness to push it out. So the thing with these playables, on an infinite time scale, like the technology will get good enough where you can just make a full game from a prompt. So I wonder if like YouTube knows media, they know content. I wonder if there is such a natural line of progression where making everybody a game studio and having the cloud infrastructure to support it and the AI smarts to make it possible, where the Stadia comes back in one form or another, and we end up back where we started.
Yeah, I truly hope that will be the case. I think, it was a product that was just a little bit ahead of its time. Maybe it flew a bit too close to the sun in some ways, maybe not enough. I don't know.
Also needed better branding. I hope if it comes back, it's got better branding. Stadia is not a very good name. It doesn't mean anything.
No, not really, unfortunately. A group of stadium, I believe, is the
but what does that have to do with gaming?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I think that kind of who knows kind of echoes our sentiments towards what's going to happen for the rest of the year. Maybe we'll lose some more players, maybe gain a few more, hopefully. But yeah, it's so endlessly fascinating, this industry that we live and breathe in. And I just want to say thanks, guys, for joining me again. It's been a fun one this time, talking all things new and old, and a bit of nostalgia bait in there for the elder statesmen among us, me included. And yeah, it's stay tuned for more riveting nostalgia bait that we throw in your ears every single week. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys, and we'll speak to you in the next one.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Pixelated, a 9to5 Google podcast. If you enjoyed the show, we ask that you rate and review it on the podcast platform of your choice, and help spread the word by sharing the show with friends or on social media.